Hello and welcome to the second episode of There Are No Bad Ports, Just Bad Players. I'm a Jaded Gamer and today I will be playing the 2016 Good Old Games version of Necropolis. This game is a stamina based roguelike with a semi-Egyptian theme. Immediately, we're off to a bad start, having the game demand I press a control button to start my PC game. The options menu is acceptable but lacks a rebindable key menu, the greatest sin any port can commit. Originally, you had only the choice of one character type, and it could be male or female. But with the brutal edition of the game that was given out free to buyers soon after the game's release, you now have two to pick from. The Agile and the Brute. They are both average. I feel that originally a third was intended to be playable, a mystic of sorts. My reasoning for this is the artwork seen through the game and how well it would have fit with the Agile and the Brute. However, cut content seems to be an industry standard that is here to stay. Having started a new game, you are shown the control scheme lovingly crafted into the wall ahead of you, and the lack of a key binding menu becomes clear. The game originally started out with a short tutorial area so that you could grasp the basics and, if observant, learn how to find hidden rooms. This was removed entirely with the brutal edition, and any new players will likely die within seconds due to the lack of any real instruction on how to play. Before heading into the labyrinth, you meet the omnipresent Pyramid and are informed by working for him you can gain his favour, which is used to purchase skill books and different coloured outfits. The skill books in this game are written to be cryptic, so much so I doubt anyone could make sense of the majority of them without using a wiki. Once you work out or look up what the skill book does, you find they are more or less useless. They give slight benefits. There's only one or two that I would deem necessary. Most of them border on pointless or completely useless. As mentioned earlier, the combat is stamina based and, quite frankly, reeks of Dark Souls. The whole bloody game does. Not an original bone in its body, I'm afraid. Weapons come in 4 varieties: quick swords, slow swords, crossbows, and shields. Yes, they do exactly as they sound. The only thing that separates weapons is the sub-effects, such as elemental damage, special attacks, or damage over time effects. The Agile and the Brute both have predetermined attack patterns based on the type of weapon. Yes, just like Dark Souls. And they seem designed to miss head-on attacks. Swinging to the side is far more effective for hitting your foes. There are different types of armour throughout the game, but they seem more cosmetic than anything. Only a couple of them have any obvious differences, such as a slight speed boost. But just like skill books, it's overly cryptic in explanation, so you may as well just go to the wiki. Shields are of course used to guard. They can also be used to bash, and the Brute uses an AoE instead. You'll never use it though. attacking is far more effective than knocking him down for half a second. Most of the time the enemy just gets back up before you can swing anyway. You can also do a down thrust if airborne, but it falls under the same circumstances as using shield bash. The only decent attack is the charged sword swing. It has sub effects to it depending on the weapon, and it's good at clearing a lot of enemies at once, though it is stamina intensive. The monsters in this game are by far the strongest point. They are varied, imposing and challenging, if only due to the clunky combat mechanics. They infight when mixed and completely ignore the player when doing so. They do get reskinned as you progress, and annoyingly most of them are capable of performing endless attack cycles that knock you down, and once you get back up they knock you down again until you're dead. Some opponents can cause your character to vomit, leaving you vulnerable. It's never clear why this happens, it just does. Wish I could explain it better, but the game refuses to be consistent for me. There is at least a wide variety of opponents in the game, most of which feel distinct, have their own movesets, advantages and disadvantages to different weapons, elemental damage and so on. And some even come with specific spawn requirements, such as the rat thieves. The game's world is based on ancient Egypt, pyramids and tombs. About 3 to 4 levels in, the developers ran out of ideas and added in a swamp and snow zone as well. It simply doesn't fit. Many of the levels from there on vary between the 3 basic zones, with no consideration for properly merging them together. I guess that's the price you pay for random generation on tile sets. Much later on, about level 6 to 9, you start coming across factory settings and dark tunnels. Though more interesting, they don't contribute much beyond something different to look at. There are hidden areas in some levels, can be opened by inspecting messages on the wall, but due to random generation, it is possible to be given a task to find hidden rooms and never be able to in 9 levels. The size of the levels are decently large, and surprisingly it is possible to pick a direction at the start of the game, progress down several levels, find the lift back up to the previous ones, and return to the start should you wish. This continues throughout the game, works well to loop the game and make it feel larger than it is. Upon reaching a level's end, you are offered the chance to level up by spending souls. Gems you collect at the Blessing Well. You can also view some of the artwork that I mentioned earlier, which is why I believe there was a planned 3rd class that never happened. And there's also a vendor to purchase some basic items should you be running low. Regarding items, they can be found in pottery, drop off enemies, or be crafted by you. You can learn more recipes as you progress by purchasing them from a hidden vendor within some treasure chests. If you are lucky enough to avoid all the unfair deaths and not getting completely lost, discover a portal in place of the lift at the end of the 9th level. Entering it takes you to a short gauntlet of trash mobs you are too powerful for, and the one and only boss fight in the game, which is just a big robot. Because when I think ancient Egypt, I think big robots. It can easily be defeated by shooting your crossbow at it a few hundred times, while avoiding its low threat ranged attacks. Or you can go up and hit it with your sword and get crushed. I know which option I'll go with. Once defeated, it drops the key to the final room. But wait, there's like 12 of them, and they all look the same, read the same, and are the same. This is where it gets kind of interesting for me, clearly hinting that there is more to it, and you should look further into it to work out which is the true key. However, I don't believe there is any more behind it. I've spent far too much time looking into this, trying different things, only to come to the conclusion that the developers put this in to try and extend the interest of players who got this far, only to be disappointed by the lackluster ending. Worked on me, but I saw through it. Having chosen your key, you open the door, take a lift down, enter a portal, and end the game. The credits roll, and the feeling of disappointment continues when a developer message appears at the end of the game telling you to go outside and play. Treating the player like a child is not a good way to end your game. It then kicks you back to the menu, deletes your character, and expects you to start over. Ultimately, I found this game to be pretty disappointing. Although the port of it is acceptable, the mouse works fine, the keys work fine, even if you have to sort of contort your hand to dodge or run. But the lack of a key binding menu is very poor. But what it comes down to is this game has no sense of identity. It's just Dark Souls, again, in a sea of Dark Souls games. If it had tried a little harder with its Egyptian themes, might have come out a bit better. Clearly wasn't the case. It's just a shame, really. Well, thank you for watching. I'm a Jaded Gamer. Goodbye.